All right, this is for all the dads. The dads out there who are building businesses, who are working intense jobs, and also they want to be able to be great dads. I feel like there's so much productivity and entrepreneurial discussion that occurs and sets aside our obligations as dads. So I want to bring this discussion to the front of our minds and also speak to guys who are maybe like me, who are feeling like you don't get the capacity, to be able to put your best foot forwards when it comes to making progress in your business, because there's so much of the responsibility at home, if you want to do a good job, that is, and keep people alive and keep your home functioning. So much of your capacity gets funneled into that. It's a wonderful season. It's a wonderful responsibility, and you wouldn't want to not have it. But we need to be able to frame up what we can really do with reality so that we don't drop the ball on the things that are most important in our life. And that's a tension. And so how do you manage those competing forces? I've just finished reading a book recently called Fathering from the Fast Lane by Dr. Bruce Robertson. I found it a very helpful book because it puts a lens on the fact that many of us men have busy jobs. We lead busy lives, and there needs to be some practical guides on being intentional at home, because it's very easy to not be home and be at work. Okay, all right. So that's a very obvious way to be physically not available for your kids. Another challenge is when you're actually at home, but you're mentally not present because you're thinking of other things. You're thinking of things that need to happen in the business. I'm completely guilty of this because we're used to operating at a particular level of bandwidth and capacity. And then once our responsibility really comes to a head with 1, 2 or more kids, well, then that takes up a massive element of your bandwidth that would previously be going into driving business elements forwards. And so you're thinking about those things that need to be done because you're used to operating in a particular way. But we need to cut ourselves some slack. We need to say, look, this particular season is going to be a season of potentially less productivity, but we need to refine the way in which we generate productivity. We need to find those things that are going to push the needle forward the most, and we action those things. And we actually need to leave a whole bunch of really good things on the table because there's more to do. There's always going to be more to do. There's going to be more good ideas. There's going to be more responsibilities in the business than there is going to be time to action them if we're going to still be wanting to make sure that we are intentionally feeding into our kids. And I think that particular season, particularly when they're young, and this is for the young guys who have young kids out there just like me, we need to allow these things to take longer in our business. We need to say, okay, I'm going to allow my brain to actually be here in the moment rather than dwelling on the things that I would normally be able to action when I had the previous bandwidth of a previous life, BC, before children. And that's not to say that this is a negative attitude towards kids, because it's not. I think it's just something that is really important to discuss because we need to navigate this season that is impossible to imagine. So we need to cut ourselves some slack. Men, guys, it's okay to slow down. It's actually okay to take a whole bunch of good to do things and not do them. If we can replace the activity of doing with determining what is the most important and then actioning that and being okay to leave a whole bunch of good stuff on the table as a result, well, then at least we're still moving forwards. We're still making progress. And that's something that can help us. I know it helps me emotionally and relationally as well. If I feel like we're taking a step forward, even if we're not actually seeing the results yet, if we feel like we're taking a step forward, well, then I'm way more comfortable in my family, my away from business attitude, because I feel like the ball is rolling along. I wanted to speak particularly to the men who are out there running businesses and they've got young kids and they're in the thick of it. The candle is burning from both ends. I want to say that you are seen. I see you. We're in it together. You're doing a great job. Let's remember this season that we're in is a particular season of intensity. And this particular season of intensity means that there's going to be, a weight and balance. Maybe there's going to be less intensity in terms of hours and input onto our business, and we're feeding into our kids. And that is a good thing, because at the end of the day, they are what we're doing this for. It's challenging. It's tough. If you know, you know. It is hard. But everything that is worth doing is hard. Let's give our kids the best of ourselves. Let's find the things that are going to drive the business forwards with the least amount of required input from us. And the reality of all this, leave a bunch of good stuff on the table. We can pick it up later in another season of life. I see you. I hear you. You're doing a great job. Let's keep it up. Big love.